Hey guys, May Flom here, and today I'm really excited because I am going to show you how I'm making these little Valentine containers. Now here's the thing, these little treats, these could be in any number of sizes, any number of shapes. Mine has a little bit of an opening at the bottom because I intend to put little mini candies in here, like little individually wrapped chocolates. So I don't need the bottom to be closed. It's not going to be a problem. If it was, you could easily remedy that with a little piece of paper or alter your pattern a little. But I'm getting ahead of myself because what I want to do very quickly in this video is show you how I designed my own and how the ScanNCut is making it so that I can now make as many of these as I want. So the first step, I welded together a heart and a rectangle, cut them out twice, and then put them together and tried to see how they would best fit. In other words, I need to have two folds there, and then my other one, and these are done on scratch paper, so that paper that I've used for many things, so that I am getting more use out of it, and because it doesn't matter. So folded these up, and two things happen when I do this. Number one, I figured out how they best fit together. Number two, when I opened it back up, I could see where I wanted the pattern to be. And I decided that with this one, actually, I could put it a little differently as far as positioning goes. Okay, so then when I opened it back up, I laid it down, traced it, and we are ready to scan this. Once I scan this into the machine, we're set. We have this template that I can make larger or smaller at any point. So at this time, let me get out the machine and I'm going to show you both how to weld together and then also how to scan in this pattern. So the first part of this process that I mentioned was the welding of patterns. In here in the basics, the first thing I did was pick out a rectangle, any rectangle. We're not going to worry about size or anything. And then I'm going to go in and add, and I'm adding a heart because that's the shape I'm after. So the next thing that I did was to position this onto the one side of the heart. Then to go in here, and I'm going to do a couple things. This little circular button, it's going to let me rotate a bit, but I know that I want to resize this. So I'm going to size this down a bit, but I'm also going to push this button so that I can just make it smaller, smaller. Oops, excuse me, smaller, and adjust how I want. And then I can take this and turn it to the angle that works for me. So what this does is it allows you to only adjust the height or the width independently so that you can change the ratio. Then what I'm going to do is say, okay, and I'm going to come in this here so that I can adjust where it is. Okay, so I want it to overlap slightly. And remember, we don't need this to be perfect. In fact, if you wanted to make it taller and then hand cut it down after it's printed out, that's fine. Now, if I cut this out right now as it is, it would cut both of those lines. That would be a problem. However, if we select this here and say, okay, and then there's always the two different. Remember, this one is unify, which means it will treat them as one. We can move them around. This one will weld, which means anything that overlaps, it's removing, so it will no longer cut that. So what I will show you here, let's see. So what you can see here is that it has removed that outline. It has removed the middle portion here so that now this cuts as one. And all I have to do now is go in here and tell it two. Okay? So if I cut two of these out, they're going to be identical. I can flip one over once I've actually cut them out, and I can put them together as I showed you here. Once everything is cut out, we're going to go into scan. We're going to go into ScanNCut data. The way I always explain this to people, this one means I want you to cut out what I have here on the mat, or at least that's more how I use it. And this one means I've got something here that I want to create a cut file, and that's definitely what we want to do. We want to create a cut file of our heart design. Now this is oh so quick and easy. We are just going to frame up the file. And then once that is done, it'll just take a moment to recognize it. And once it's recognized, we're just going to tell it what kind of a cut we want to save. If we want to have it cut this would cut inside the line and outside the line, or what we actually want is this, which is just cut the outline. And then we save it, and it's up to you if you want to save it to a USB drive, if you want to use the cloud, to Canvas, however you'd like to do it. I am going to save this to the machine because this is one where I'm going to want to use it again and again. Then to access, we go into Patterns, Save Data, we saved it to the machine, and there it is. So now when I say, okay, I can come in here and I can resize it. If I want it to be bigger, I can make it bigger. So we're not limited in that way. I could also, and this is not something I did this time, but if, for example, I'll show you real quick, if I wanted to add a heart, I could add a heart here. And this is just so much fun, you guys. It's totally blowing my mind because look, I could add in a little heart. Okay, and then I could even adjust the size of it. So what I would be doing if I did that, it would cut out a window. So it would cut a second heart out of here and I could have like a little window. Oh my goodness, the options are limitless. All you do at this point is cut when you're happy with it. You just cut it out of whatever paper, whether it's pattern paper or cardstock or whatever you've got, whatever it is you want, you would just cut it out. From here, the only limit is your own creativity. Here you can see I've used some heart-shaped stamps that I cut out using the ScanNCut. And actually my previous video was on exactly doing this. So you can see there's one of the stamps is starting to get well loved here. You could add stamps, you could add stickers, you could add sequins, you could add whatever you want. You could even add on a little tie string. There are so many options here for creativity and so many shapes that you could possibly do. I'm just really loving that I can use scrap paper and sit here and look at it physically, because for me, that's a much easier figuring out, you know, how it best lined up and, you know, what angle and what things would work the best for me was really key. And I love that with my ScanNCut, I can create my own files, not by using a computer program, but by sitting here, working it out myself with physical product and then creating my own. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or shoot me an email. I'll see you next time.